Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. At 4 o'clock, the president participates in the visit of the 2025 Major League Soccer champions, the Inter Miami CF. It's in the East Room of the White House. Then on a separate stream at 4:30, the Department of War will hold its third press conference on Operation Epic Fury. Quite the news day today. Let's start out with our first clip of the day, 1A from President Donald J. Trump. I am pleased to announce that the highly respected United States Senator from the great state of Oklahoma, Markwayne Mullin, will become the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. This, according to President Trump on Truth Social, that effective at the end of this month. So that's March 31st. The current Secretary, Kristi Noem, who has served us well and has had numerous and spectacular results, especially on the border, will be moving to the Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americas. It's our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere, and that's being announced, of course, as you see there tomorrow, actually on Saturday in Doral, Florida. The president says, "I thank Kristi for her service at, quote-unquote, the homeland." The president also saying, serving 10 years in the United States House of Representatives and 3 in the Senate, Markwayne has done a tremendous job representing the wonderful people of Oklahoma, where I won all 77 out of 77 counties in 2016, 2020, and 2024. The president says a MAGA warrior and former undefeated professional MMA fighter, Markwayne truly gets along well with people and knows the wisdom and courage required to advance our America First agenda. As the only Native American in the Senate, Markwayne is a fantastic advocate for our incredible tribal communities. President Trump says Markwayne will work tirelessly to keep our borders secure, stop migrant crime, murderers, and other criminals from illegally entering our country, of course, ending the scourge of illegal drugs, and to make America safe again. The president says Markwayne will make a spectacular Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So a new DHS Secretary in Markwayne Mullin out of Oklahoma. Meantime, let's go to Operation Epic Fury. Here are the latest videos from the United States Central Command regarding the operation for Clip 1.
The United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury,
the most lethal, most complex, and most precise aerial operation in history.
Our military in the Middle East is undertaking an unprecedented operation to eliminate Iran's ability to threaten Americans, as they've been doing for nearly half a century. We are also sinking the Iranian Navy, the entire Navy.
We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it.
combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved.
Today, I'm turning over my role as Acting Director of the Defense Innovation Unit to Owen West. Owen is a former Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations and a Marine, who will bring the drone dominance effort with him to DIU. Drone dominance is Secretary Hegseth's program to arm our operational units with one-way attack drones, and it uses the Secretary's acquisition reform strategy to get it done. I'm here today with Owen at Fort Benning to observe Gauntlet 1, the first in a series of competitions that will get us to scale and drive costs down. After each competition, price comes down, capabilities increase, and volume doubles. How is this possible? A steady demand signal to industry. Too often, the department has been inconsistent, especially with new entrants. On Gauntlet 1's 25 competitors, 20 are small businesses and 5 are new entrants. By putting out a steady call to industry with $1 billion, we attract businesses and the winners can build product roadmaps and decrease costs. It pays to be a winner in the competition. Hundreds of companies have applied, and soon DIU will announce the dozen winners of Gauntlet 1. But this is not a down select. In Gauntlet 2, companies that were not initially selected can reapply, although their products must be more capable and more American. As the process goes on, we will gradually increase the number of US-made parts. So, if you're not selected in this round, go back to the drawing board. If you were selected, congratulations, but don't let up. The competition gets harder. Gauntlet 2 will involve additional capabilities and other counter-drone measures. Each of you will need to bring your A game. Good luck.
All right, so the U.S. Department of War having an information there with the Central Command. A lot of the videos that have been released pretty recently from the United States Central Command. Let's go now to a different topic. There are a lot of topics out there, as you guys know, but let's look at this, one of the statements from President Trump regarding the Save America Act, saying, quote, "The Republicans must do with passion and at the expense of everything else, the Save America Act, and not the watered-down version. This is a country-defining fight for the soul of our nation." So as you see there, President Trump not mincing words with the importance of the Save America Act. It's unfortunate to see anybody in the United States Senate that would be against the Save America Act. End of story, period. There's no other way around it. If you're against the Save America Act, you're against saving America. Let me say it again for those that can't hear in the back at the Senate. If you're against the Save America Act, you're against saving America. Meantime, many Americans are calling United States senators to let them know we want photo ID and proof of citizenship in order for people to vote in federal elections. Now, this morning, I made some calls myself because that's what we say here on the network. Hey, contact your senator. So out of that job that I have here at the network or in conservative media as a whole is to reach out and get a statement or get an interview in regards to the Save America Act. So contacted South Dakota Senator John Thune's office in Washington, D.C., left a message there asking to, just like you see various people that show up here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, whether it's a senator, a congresswoman, or congressman, all sorts of analysts and great guests and great conservative rock stars out there. It's the same thing. It's kind of the same effort. But in this case, we want to hear from Senator John Thune. And we want to know where the Save America Act stands right now at this minute. Why? Because last time I checked, we the people are the ones that are supposed to be in charge, a government of and by and for, right? A government of, by, and for the people. So again, you guys can contact your senators as well. This is something that is quite ridiculous to have to report on each day because, again, if we look back at clip 2 again with what President Trump said, he said, quote, "The Republicans must do with passion and at the expense of everything else the Save America Act." This is President Trump speaking, and not the watered-down version. This is a country-defining fight for the soul of our nation. So far, no response from Senator John Thune's office, no statement, no interview. And we'll keep you posted if we hear back. This is day 1 of calls. I mean, just like anybody else is calling, we can do the same here at the network. We simply want a statement or an interview in regards to the Save America Act. This is, again, getting to that point of being ridiculous to have to report on an act that's called the Save America Act. This isn't the Save Jupiter Act or the Save Moon Act. This is the Save America Act. And again, if anybody does not vote for this, they are against the United States of America. Full stop. I'll pause for dramatic effect if I have to today, because I don't know about you, but aren't you kind of fed up with a number of things that, you see things going in a certain direction with the country, and then something like the Save America Act is stalled in the Senate? Come on, guys. We voted for a great president. We also, in these polls that Carolyn Levitt has put out, says there's a huge percentage of the country that wants this to happen. This can't be held up by 6 or 7 senators, you know what I mean? And this filibuster thing, they call it nuking the filibuster. Nuke the filibuster then. Do what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? My family's from New York. You gotta do what you gotta do out there. And if you don't, you're a loser. You're a straight up loser. Okay? That's how I feel about it. 2:43, Thursday, March 5th. Coming up in just a bit, we have a number of great live interviews to get to talk about passing the Save America Act. Of course, it's something on the minds of a lot of people out there, including the latest for Operation Epic Fury. So as we get more information, we will share that with you. Now, we do know that Tina Peters on X, one of the people that runs her account, that gives updates on the account, said just the other day, quote, "Thank you, Governor of CO, the governor of Colorado, for recognizing the disparity and injustice done to Tina Peters and the courage to acknowledge it." So she's been incarcerated for now 518 days. That account says, "End the injustice, free Tina Peters now." This is in response to Governor Polis on X saying, quote, "Last week, former state senator Sonia Jacquez Lewis was sentenced to probation and community service after being convicted of 4 felonies, including attempt to influence a public official. She made a horrible mistake and she was wrong. I hope she learns from this and can rebuild her life." Now, this is the governor of Colorado speaking here. "As someone who has known Sonia as a friend for many years on a personal level, I was glad to hear she isn't going to prison, which is a hard place for anyone, no less a retired 68-year-old pharmacist. But it is not lost on me that she was convicted of the exact same felony charge as Tina Peters, attempting to influence a public official. And yet Tina Peters, as a nonviolent first-time offender, got a 9-year sentence." So what we're seeing here is the governor of Colorado either teasing a release of Tina Peters or at least softening up to that idea. The governor also says justice in Colorado and America needs to be applied evenly. You never know when you might need to depend on the rule of law. How about you do know when you need to depend on the rule of whatever. Anyway, the governor of Colorado is saying, "This is the context I am using as I consider cases like this that have sentencing disparities, which is why I've extended the deadline for clemency applications until April 3rd. I'll be making decisions on these cases throughout the remainder of my governorship," end quote. So we'll continue to follow that story. Again, we've seen President Trump time and time again say free Tina Peters on there. He's not doing that just for his health. This is something that needs to be done. Again, those of you out there a little bit fed up with some things, hey, I hear you. You have to just keep on keeping on. Let's get this Save America Act passed. Let's get Tina Peters freed. And there are a number of other stories, of course, we could talk about in just a minute. Before we get into some of our live interviews, let's take a quick commercial break. I'm Matthew Alvarez. This is RSBN Live. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Broadcasting Network. Man, it's still cloudy and foggy and cold there in Washington, D.C. I know, of course, it's wintertime, but man, it's been quite the stretch of that weather. I know one of the days it was at least a little bit more blue skies and a little bit of a peak of the sun there, but spring is slowly getting here, which is, of course, always good. All right, so other news that we're tracking right now, let's go to some specifics when it comes to highlights from the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, and the War Secretary, Pete Hegseth. They addressed the America's Counter Cartel Conference at the U.S. Southern Command Headquarters, this in Doral, Florida. Before we go there, let's go to All Family Pharmacy and Birch Gold, great sponsors here on Right Side. Ivermectin is back in the headlines. If you saw the owner of All Family Pharmacy, Michael Kunzler, he actually joined us yesterday here talking about this as well. The National Cancer Institute has launched early-stage lab research to study how it works in the body, including how it may interact with cancer cells. Now, this isn't a treatment recommendation, it's early-stage research, but it does highlight how medications that were once pushed to the sidelines are now being studied by major institutions. And as for many Americans, that raises an important question about access. So if you've been looking for a reliable place to get medications like ivermectin, antibiotics, mebendazole, hydroxychloroquine, NAD+, and other prescriptions, All Family Pharmacy makes that process simple. So you can go online, complete a short medical form, and a licensed physician reviews your request and prescribes if appropriate. So they believe Americans should be able to make these informed decisions with their doctors, and they help make that possible. So just go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN 10 promo code. Of course, get that 10% off with All Family Pharmacy. Let's move on to Birch Gold Group. Think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. At today's prices, those 33 ounces would be worth about $165,000. Smart Americans diversify a portion of their savings into precious metals. We're seeing that with Birch Gold Group. And that's why you might want to consider buying gold from our friends at Birch Gold. For thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth, and today it's a crucial part of any balanced strategy. Even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. Just text Trump to the number 989898 to receive your free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. Now, with an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. Of course, you can get peace of mind starting right there with texting Trump to 989898. All right, let's go to some of those highlights from the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, and War Secretary Pete Hegseth as they address the America's Counter Cartel Conference at the U.S. Southern Command Headquarters in Doral, Florida.
We are not going to cede an inch of territory in this hemisphere to our enemies or our adversaries. Our national security, our homeland security, the safety and well-being of our people begins at home, begins in our neighborhood, begins in our home region. And for too long, we have allowed foreign enemies, foreign adversaries, and enemy terrorist organizations to control territory and spaces in this hemisphere where they can project power, project threats, and directly threaten the lives of your citizens and our citizens. And so under the leadership of President Trump, we are using hard power, military power, lethal force to protect and defend the American homeland. Not a single one of your nations should tolerate the existence of a single square mile of territory that is under the control of any entity other than the sovereign governments of your country.
In 1823, President Monroe said that the United States owed the success of that young country to the candor and amicable relations with other powers to affirm our national policy. President Monroe declared, "We should consider any attempt on malign countries to extend their system to any portion of this hemisphere as dangerous to our peace and safety." It was the Monroe Doctrine of 1823. And today, some 200 years later, we still marvel at the wisdom of President Monroe's declaration. We're at long last putting America, Americans, and the Americas first, ensuring peace through strength and restoring common sense. At our department, we're doing it by restoring the warrior ethos, rebuilding our military to historic levels, and reestablishing deterrence in this hemisphere and around the world. For too long, leaders in Washington and their foreign policy functionaries abandoned the simple wisdom of the Monroe Doctrine. They were consumed with the United States only going abroad. They ignored the warnings of President John Quincy Adams, who said that if our nation went overseas only in search of monsters to destroy, that we would cease to be the ruler of our own spirit and our own backyard. Under previous leaders, we grew obsessed with every other theater and every other border in the world except our own. These elites reduced our power and presence in this hemisphere, opting for a benign neglect that was anything but benign. In your countries, many leaders accepted the status quo to coexist with narco-terrorism, or for a law enforcement alone approach that failed to deter and dismantle threats. Same happened in our country under the previous administration. And the result of this collective neglect was fatal. More than 1 million Americans were killed by fentanyl, cocaine, and other drugs. Numbers greater than any casualties we've sustained in war. Millions of illegal aliens invaded our borders and destabilized nations across the hemisphere. Under Joe Biden's administration, the human smuggling industry exploded by more than 2,000%, from a $500 million so-called industry in 2018 to $13 billion by 2022. Cartels of terrorists across our hemisphere, enabled by adversaries, created and profited from chaos. What creates chaos? No leadership creates chaos. In our nation, narco-terrorist groups like Tren de Aragua prospered. They raped, they poisoned, they murdered innocent Americans. They terrorized our cities, our towns, and our neighborhoods like they do yours. Across this region, these gangsters control and terrorize large swaths of your territories, kill thousands of your people, and promote chaos that makes normal life sometimes almost impossible. Crime spiked massively. Our hemisphere has 1/8 of the population, yet 1/3 of the violent crime. There's a reason for that. America's retreat from protecting its citizens and the complacency of many neighbors in this hemisphere was a great betrayal. That's what it was, a great betrayal against our people and our nations. Well, President Trump recognizes the wisdom of the Monroe Doctrine, and the days of us betraying and endangering our own citizens are finished. Under President Trump, securing America's interest in the Western Hemisphere and keeping our homeland safe are our top national security priorities. The President's historic national defense strategy ensures that the Department of War will prioritize resources around the threats and objectives that are core to homeland defense and the people and prosperity of the American people. To start, the Department of War is once again defending our borders as a priority of our national defense. With our law enforcement partners, we are defending our borders and making our streets safe again. Crossings at our southern border, at the U.S.-Mexico border, have dropped to the lowest number in history. Murders nationwide have plummeted by more than 20%. We now have operational control of our southern border. 0 people are crossing our southern border.
All right, so we heard there from Pete Hegseth earlier in Florida. We're going to hear from the Secretary of War a bit later in a different broadcast, as there's another Pentagon press briefing all about Operation Epic Fury. That's coming up at about 4:30 Eastern time. So once the event at the White House has concluded, of course, you can hop over to another live broadcast, live stream here on Right Side that will have that press conference in full. Let's go to a couple of our great sponsors here on Right Side. Rumble Wallet first. We'll go to Rumble Wallet right now. You may have seen the conversations happening online lately. Censorship is back and it's happening everywhere. Platforms are controlling narratives and pushing the stuff they want us to see. And of course, we need to fight back in that information area. Rumble's one of the only companies that has really stood the test of time and deserves our support. So on one side, Rumble is challenging big tech censorship, but now on the other side, they have introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. Now, banks can cancel our accounts and freeze our cards, so that's why Rumble has launched Rumble Wallet. It's a wallet that no one can cancel and a wallet that supporters can use to instantly tip creators like us without any middleman taking the cuts. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can touch it, but it's yours and only yours to protect your future and family. So all you have to do is go to wallet.rumble.com or search Rumble Wallet in the various Google Play stores, of course the App Store as well. Rumble Wallet, great sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, let's also go to the following. Cove Pure. We're looking at Cove Pure now. So we're past all of that talk where it's the new year, new me stuff. This is the part where we either forget about it or we make it easy enough that we actually follow through. So that's where Cove Pure comes in. And here's the thing. Most people tend to go overboard a bit buying new supplements, trying a new diet or workout, but they completely ignore the most important basic thing, water. So even mild dehydration impacts energy, focus, and metabolism. And when you think about all of the garbage that's in our water, you're starting behind the curve before you even begin. Now, Cove Pure changes that immediately. Their ClearWave technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants, pretty much anything that isn't water. So those PFAs, the microplastics, pharmaceutical residue, fluoride, all gets removed, and it's the purest water you can get. So what's also amazing about Cove Pure is it lets you actually choose the temperature of your water, so hot, cold, or warm with a tap of a button. The way it's meant to be when it comes to water, it tastes pure, clean, with no aftertaste. I mean, that's really at the end of the day what the goal is, to take out all the junk that's in the water and have clean, pure water. You can have that here with covepure.com/RSBN. Again, it's a $250 sale right now off of the regular price, and that's a limited discount there. So check it out, covepure.com/RSBN. Drink pure, live pure, Cove Pure, right now on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Looking live there at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We'll take one more commercial break. We'll be right back here on RSBN.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy lie before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First news. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's now dive into the latest for the Save America Act as we get ready to see President Trump coming up in just a bit. Now, crediting Grok for assembling these verified facts, looking over the information here, this is all accurate information. So the Save America Act also known as the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, or SAVE Act in various forms, is a Republican-backed bill requiring documentary proof of U.S. citizenship for voter registration in federal elections, along with stricter photo ID rules for voting, limits on mail-in ballots, and related election integrity measures. As of early March 2026, of course, around March 5th, which is today, of course, the latest status in the U.S. Senate is as follows. The House passed an amended version of the bill. That was the House Resolution Bill 7296, often referred to as the Save America Act. That happened on February 11th by a narrow vote of 2018 to 2013. It has been received in the Senate, but has not yet been voted on or passed. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, of course, from South Dakota, has indicated the Senate would take it up for a vote, quote unquote, very soon or this week, per reports from late February and early this month. But no vote has occurred as of the most recent updates. Republicans hold a majority in the Senate and have secured at least 50 to 51 votes in support, including from Senator Susan Collins backing and pushing it to 51, including the vice president's tiebreaker potential. However, Democrats are expected to filibuster, requiring 60 votes to invoke cloture and advance the bill. Thune has stated Republicans are not even close to the 60 votes needed to overcome a filibuster, and there is no indication of eliminating or bypassing the filibuster rule, which is something that we should do if need be. Again, if you remember at the top of the broadcast, I was talking about the Save America Act, and if you are against the Save America Act, you are against saving America. Pretty simple stuff. Sounds like an X post or a truth post to me, which maybe I'll post in a minute, but it's true, isn't it? If you're against the Save America Act, you're against saving America. It's kind of common sense, right? So some versions or companion bills exist in the Senate, introduced in January by Senator Mike Lee, or amendments to other bills, but the main momentum stems from the House-passed version. So we're seeing that there's a lot of support from the public in regards to this bill. In summary, again from Grok, the bill is stalled in the Senate awaiting a floor vote with strong Republican support, but insufficient votes to break a likely Democratic filibuster. Again, we've heard President Trump say nuke the filibuster. Let's do it on this one. No major action has been reported in the last few days, and it remains a high priority but blocked item amid ongoing partisan debates over election integrity and voting access. Where is there an argument, by the way, when it comes to election integrity, right? It shouldn't be, election integrity or save the country or let us all vote when it comes to if you have a photo ID and a proof of citizenship. You can check out the bill and some more details at congress.gov as well. So those are some of the stories we're tracking here at the network. And again, President Trump, I think we have that clip of President Trump on Truth Social. I believe this is clip number 2, if we get that correctly, where President Trump is saying, quote, the Republicans must do with passion and at the expense of everything else the Save America Act, and not the watered-down version. This is a country-defining fight for the soul of our nation. So the president's saying, hey, let's get behind this. And most of us in the country, the majority of the nation, including a number of Democrats, are saying, yeah, let's have free and fair elections. That's a good thing. We don't want just anybody voting in our elections. And again, I wonder why that 10 to 15 million people came across the southern border when I take it back, when the fake president, Joe Biden, was in office over those 4 years. You know, why did they want them in the country? Why do you want so many illegal aliens in the country? What are some of the reasons? 1, they want to destroy the United States of America. 2, they want them to illegally vote. They want to sway elections, steal elections, and all the things. I mean, this is all reported out there. This is not just my words, right? And of course, they just want us to have this back and forth going on when it comes to law and order. They're against law and order. They're against President Trump. They're against freedom. And we have to win this thing. And how do we save America? I would think passing the Save America Act would be the ideal right thing to do. Again, you can contact your United States senators out there to get this ball rolling, because we know at the end of the day, our country is worth it, 1,000,000% worth it. All right, it is 3:15 Eastern. Actually, it's 3:06 Eastern as we are live right now. And joining us now on RSBN is retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Alex Pelbath, who's also running for Congress in South Carolina. Thank you so much for your service to our country, and thank you for running, because it seems like we need people just like you in there to call the shots.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Definitely. So let's dive into, I was going to talk about, of course, Operation Epic Fury, but your thoughts overall with the Save America Act. It's something that we need to do, right?
I think it's the most obvious of things that we need to do. And I think it's pretty clear motivation from those who are against it, why that they're against it. And I think the data even shows that something like 80% of all Americans, including 70% of Dems, favor voter ID laws and things like this in general. So we know why the left is pushing back so hard against it. It's because it's the only way they can stay in power.
Exactly. And so anybody in that establishment are saying, no, we don't want what President Trump's saying here. Let's not do this. But we, the people, right. And a lot of, we're seeing some senators saying, no, we want this too. So we'll see what happens there. But switching now to Operation Epic Fury. First of all, to bring context to our great viewers here on Right Side, I know that you commanded the last flight out during the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021. Again, this is Lieutenant Colonel Alex Pelbath of the Air Force, retired. Thank you so much again for your service. Talk to us about what that was like having maybe not that far with the whole commander-in-chief thing with Biden, but just what was that like on that day when you guys had to get out of there?
I think most people forget that was a 17-day operation. From the beginning, the chaotic scenes in the beginning that everybody saw to 17 days later ending it. And my title there was the Air Mission Commander for the final evacuation. Very large operation. It was, when I look back on it, I am very proud of what the United States military was able to accomplish, given those constraints that we were forced to work with. This is essentially was a president making decisions that were based on politics rather than what was best for the country in that operation. And we're seeing the exact opposite with President Trump today. I think this is why Epic Fury is so effective, is because he's doing two things that Biden didn't do. Number one, using overwhelming force, right? We are going to go in with overwhelming force, and we are going to win right away. And the second thing is he's not putting a constraint like a timeline on this operation. And what we saw from Biden was both of those things, right? He put an arbitrary end date on the operation, never something you want to do with the military. And we used piecemeal forces, and that's why we lost control there.
Exactly. So it was not a meritocracy. It wasn't by merit. It was just, hey, let's do this adding political wokeism to the United States Armed Forces. What a joke. But people like you and many others were probably like, oh my gosh, what are we doing here? But now under Pete Hegseth, you probably would be like, I wouldn't mind having him as my boss too, right?
Well, there's no question about that. Recruiting is at an all-time high right now for that very reason. And for those of us in the military, none of us like DEI. For multiple reasons. What we are a meritocracy. There's only one thing we ask of each other when we're in the military, and if we're going to evaluate that is, will I go to war with you? Are you the type of person I would go to war with? If the answer to that question is yes, then we don't care what you look like, what your background is, what your orientation is. We don't care. Will I fight beside you? And so anything that detracts from that it just makes us weaker. So there's no question that the American military is in a better place today than we were just a few years ago.
It must be something for the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to have those cuffs off, figuratively speaking, to run the Department of War the way it needs to be run when there is an operation to be taken care of. And many people are saying, these surgical strikes have been really, really great under President Trump. And we're seeing that in Iran and this whole situation. Now, The question is, if it goes on longer than people would kind of be comfortable with, would you like to chime in on any of that, other than the fact that the surgical strikes have been pretty good?
They have been. And what a great example of how effective our military can be when we're focused simply on the mission. We saw that with the initial strikes in Iran. We saw that with the capture of Maduro, and we're seeing it again now with what's going on in Iran today. I think the only mistake we make today is not finishing this. That's the only mistake we make, is not finishing it. And I love President Trump's take that says, hey, this is going to go on for a while. We don't know how long. It depends. I think it's going to be conditions based. And so while I absolutely don't want to see troops on the ground there, I think the only mistake we make is not finishing the job.
Exactly. So, sir, can you talk to us about why you originally joined the Air Force? What was it in your heart of hearts was like, you know what, I got to do this?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I'm an Air Force Academy graduate. Went to the Air Force Academy, got there of all things on a wrestling scholarship. So this was, I'm an 18-year-old kid. I grew up in a town where they made the original Top Gun movie. And so flying airplanes was a great, was always on my heart there. Some kids played G.I. Joes. We played jets growing up. And so when the Air Force Academy came calling, the opportunity to go compete Division I, that made it pretty clear the path for me to get into it. And then I stayed for 22 years. And the reason I stayed is for the reason most of us do. It's not a lucrative profession to be in the military for your entire career, but what it is it's that service matters. Fighting for America. What the job of the United States military is to keep things in a away game. America does not like home games. We don't like war happening here at home. Our job is to keep it an away game, and I am passionate about not just serving in the military for 22 years. This is why we're taking this step now to run for Congress. Is to continue serving America and to make sure that America and Americans stay safe.
And so you're running for Congress in South Carolina. Best of luck to you, sir. But also, while you're campaigning, maybe you could join us again, give us an update on how things are going there, because someone like you with your experience and your love for the country, it would be great to see you there in South Carolina.
I appreciate it. Absolutely. Anytime, come back. Pelbathforcongress.com is where people can go see what we're doing right now. And then, of course, on all the socials, Pelbathforcongress.com.
Awesome. Retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Alex Pelbath. Thank you for your service, and thank you for running for Congress.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Awesome. Good stuff. I mean, that's again, people that are they resonate with us. They talk our language, and that's always good to see that there with the retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Alex Pelbath joining us live here on Right Side. It's 3:13 Eastern. Let's go to a couple of our great sponsors here on Right Side, including angelpaste.com. Angelpaste.com out of Spring, Texas. So if you use the RSBN promo code, you get 10% off. Always good to get that going, especially at checkout. But before you get to that point, you have to go and check out all of the different products on Angel Paste. Of course, you have the various lotions and the mists and all that, but there are some great products there to check out. So just go to angelpaste.com. Great sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Also, let's go to All Family Pharmacy. A lot of people have been talking about this recent story that we actually interviewed the owner of All Family Pharmacy yesterday, because ivermectin is back in the headlines. The National Cancer Institute has launched early stage lab research to study how it works in the body, including how it may interact with cancer cells. Now, this isn't a treatment recommendation, it's early stage research, but it does highlight how medications that were once pushed to the sidelines are now being studied by major institutions. And for many Americans, that raises an important question about access. If you've been looking for a reliable place to get medications like ivermectin, antibiotics, mebendazole, hydroxychloroquine, NAD+, and other prescriptions, All Family Pharmacy makes the process simple. So you go online, you complete a short medical form, and then from there, a licensed physician reviews your request and prescribes if appropriate. They believe Americans should be able to make informed decisions with their doctors, and they help make that possible. So all you have to do is go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use the RSBN 10 promo code there. Get 10% off with All Family Pharmacy. It's 3:15 Eastern Time. Thanks again for joining us on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Coming up, we'll have live interviews in the state of Iowa and also someone from Louisiana coming up. So we're looking forward to those interviews as we get ready to see President Trump at the top of the hour, 4 o'clock Eastern, as the president will participate in the visit of the 2025 MLS, so the Major League Soccer Champions, the Inter Miami CF, in the East Room of the White House. At 4:30 on a separate broadcast, the Department of War will hold its third press conference on Operation Epic Fury. So a lot going on there with that war in the sense of in the Middle East right now. We're seeing the surgical strikes. We'll see how that continues. Or maybe not. Maybe it's something that will be ending sooner than later. So we'll monitor it and track it here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. All right, let's go with the top of the broadcast right now with what is the latest information out there. As Clip 1A reveals, President Trump's post about the move that has been made at the Department of Homeland Security. He said, quote, I am pleased to announce that the highly respected United States Senator from the great state of Oklahoma, Markwayne Mullin, will become the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. That's effective at the end of this month, March 31st. The current Secretary, Kristi Noem, who has served us well and has had numerous and spectacular results, especially on the border, will be moving to the Special Envoy for the Shield of Americas, our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere. We are announcing on Saturday in Doral, Florida. I thank Kristi for her service at the homeland. President Trump also saying serving 10 years in the United States House of Representatives and 3 in the Senate, Markwayne has done a tremendous job representing the wonderful people of Oklahoma, where I won all 77 out of 77 counties in 2016, 2020, and 2024. A MAGA warrior and former undefeated professional MMA fighter, Markwayne truly gets along well with people and knows the wisdom and courage required to advance our America First agenda. As the only Native American in the Senate, Markwayne is a fantastic advocate for our incredible tribal communities. Markwayne will work tirelessly to keep our borders secure, stop migrant crime, murderers, and other criminals from illegally entering our country, ending the scourge of illegal drugs, and making America safe again. Markwayne will make a spectacular Secretary of Homeland Security. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So that happened within the past hour, as we saw it on Truth Social. Speaking of Operation Epic Fury from our previous guest, let's go to the latest videos from the United States Central Command regarding the operation. Let's revisit clip 1.
The United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury,
The most lethal, most complex, and most precise aerial operation in history.
Our military in the Middle East is undertaking an unprecedented operation to eliminate Iran's ability to threaten Americans, as they've been doing for nearly half a century. We are also sinking the Iranian Navy, the entire Navy.
We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it.
Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved.
Today, I'm turning over my role as Acting Director of the Defense Innovation Unit to Owen West. Owen is a former Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations and a Marine, who will bring the drone dominance effort with him to DIU. Drone dominance is Secretary Hegseth's program to arm our operational units with one-way attack drones, and it uses the Secretary's acquisition reform strategy to get it done. I'm here today with Owen at Fort Benning to observe Gauntlet 1, the first in a series of competitions that will get us to scale and drive costs down. After each competition, price comes down, capabilities increase, and volume doubles. How is this possible? A steady demand signal to industry. Too often, the department has been inconsistent, especially with new entrants. On Gauntlet 1's 25 competitors, 20 are small businesses and 5 are new entrants. By putting out a steady call to industry with $1 billion, we attract businesses and the winners can build product roadmaps and decrease costs. It pays to be a winner in the competition. Hundreds of companies have applied, and soon DIU will announce the dozen winners of Gauntlet 1. But this is not a down select. In Gauntlet 2, companies that were not initially selected can reapply, although their products must be more capable and more American. As the process goes on, we will gradually increase the number of US-made parts. So, if you're not selected in this round, go back to the drawing board. If you were selected, congratulations, but don't let up. The competition gets harder. Gauntlet 2 will involve additional capabilities and other counter-drone measures. Each of you will need to bring your A game. Good luck.
And if you remember, some of these one-way drones, these low-cost drones, were actually used in Operation Epic Fury. That's why we were bringing up that video, of course, just to get some context on the kind of things that are being used in Operation Epic Fury as we are in day 6 of that operation. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. Of course, as we grow and expand here at the network, not bought and paid for by some huge corporate, organization out there or company that's woke. Instead, we have some great sponsors and you guys to help. So really, just check out rsbnetwork.com/donate if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Also, mypillow.com. The great Mike Lindell joined us yesterday here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And the other day, actually it was just yesterday, I opened a closet and I saw something, and I saw this. I'm not kidding. This was not planned to bring onto the show, but I saw it yesterday. I said, I gotta bring it and share with the people. This is the MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets for the king size bed. Cool, right? Well, thanks to the in-laws. They were purchasing that gift for us because I've been talking about Giza Dream Sheets a lot. So it's nice to be able to have that gift. You can get it too. Just go ahead and go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Good stuff. Use the RSBN promo code. The sheets are awesome. There's so many other awesome things on MyPillow. So just check it all out. mypillow.com/RSBN. And thank you to my family, my in-laws. All right, 3:24, Thursday, March 5th. Man, it's still foggy and cloudy there in Washington, D.C. Nice and crispy and cold. I don't know why I use the word crispy for cold, but it is what it is. Crisp and cold, maybe. That is the way it's been over the past few days, of course, in D.C. It's wintertime. It is what it is, but it was a little bit nicer the other day. Hopefully, we'll see some more sun there as we cover the news here in Alabama and all around the country. Always good to report on news that's happening right here in Alabama, but also around the nation. Speaking of right here, the Senator Tommy Tuberville running for governor in Alabama, getting the endorsement from the president, but also the coach at Auburn University, of course, back in the day, and someone that's on point. This guy on the right side of history. It's great to see people like that running for various offices out there and already a senator here in the United States. Speaking of the U.S. Senate, however, there are some that are saying, well, let's not vote for this Save America Act. And I'm paraphrasing, or I'm loosely saying that, because if they would have passed it, that we wouldn't be talking about this anymore. Why would President Trump say what he had to say this morning on Truth Social? Let's go to that quote again. The Republicans must do with passion and at the expense of everything else the Save America Act, and not the watered down version. This is a country-defining fight for the soul of our nation. Again, if someone is against the Save America Act, they're against saving America. It's pretty simple, clear as day. So what can we do about it? We, the people, we actually can do something about it. It's called, exactly, the word called, call. Call your senator. I called the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune's office this morning in Washington, D.C., twice in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then one call to each of his district offices in South Dakota today, and only left a message on one of the phones in D.C., just simply requesting a statement or an interview in regards to the Save America Act. What's going on? What's the latest? And, back in the day, in the earlier journalism years, I know I might not look that old or whatever. I'm 44 years old. Worked in the media for about 20 years plus now. But back in the day, we called this viewer advocacy. Viewer advocacy. But in this case, it's we the people advocacy, because you guys are able to make these phone calls. Of course, we have a little bit of a bigger platform when it comes to this kind of thing, but it's still, we're all on the same team here. So I was making those calls as well. This is something we can do together. Let's let our senators know, simply put, pass the Save America Act. There's no reason why it shouldn't pass. I don't care what the left says. I don't care what the woke people say. I don't care what anybody says. Let's pass the Save America Act. And you know what? President Trump, when he said what he said, let's look at that quote one more time. The Republicans must do with, what's the big bold letters there? Passion. So it's okay to have a little passion. And at the expense of everything else, the Save America Act, and not the watered down version, pass the Save America Act. You see it there. So add a little bit of passion. I mean, that's part of, at the end of the day, when you look at the greatest commandment in the Bible, it says to love the Lord God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and your neighbor as yourself, right? So for those that say you shouldn't love yourself, you got to love everybody. No, it says in the Bible, love yourself at the end of that scripture. But anyway, the point is, with your heart, soul, strength, and mind, your heart is that passion, right? Your soul, same difference kind of. Your strength, your mind, the logic, all the things, God wants us to love him first. Well, in this case, we love our country. We love our freedom. We love our God. It's kind of the same kind of aspect of who we are to get involved for our country to save this nation. So when I see those words from President Trump, the commander-in-chief, the 47th president, the president that won 3 elections in a row, he says the Republicans must do with passion, all in caps. Sometimes it's okay to have a little passion, especially when it's positive. In this case, it definitely is. All right, so stories we're monitoring within the 24/7 news cycle. Operation Epic Fury enters day 6. And of course, the status of the Save America Act in the Senate. Right now, it has somewhat stalled. We're waiting for the latest information there when it comes to that. We're 2 minutes out from the bottom of the hour. Of course, we are waiting for the president. We'll see him here in about 32 minutes or so, as he will be honoring the MLS soccer team from Miami coming up at the top of the hour. And then about 30 minutes later, the Department of War will be holding its 3rd press conference on Operation Epic Fury. So a lot going on. Also, in other news, for those of you that may have just joined us, the Tina Peters account on X, the person that handles that account said, quote, "Thank you, Governor of Colorado, for recognizing the disparity and injustice done to Tina Peters and the courage to acknowledge it." So we know that Governor Polis there in Colorado has stayed pretty much silent on the Tina Peters issue. But if you want to check out his post, he's talking about basically maybe slightly teasing or softening to a release of Tina Peters, because someone else that he knows just recently was charged with the same crime but didn't get prison time. So, and that person is a retired 68-year-old pharmacist. So the governor of Colorado saying, quote, on an X post, "But it is not lost on me that this person was convicted of the exact same felony charges Tina Peters, attempting to influence a public official. And yet, Tina Peters, as a nonviolent first-time offender, got a 9-year sentence." So the governor's saying justice in Colorado and America needs to be applied evenly. You never know when you might need to depend on the rule of law. How about always? Anyway, this is the context I'm using as I consider cases like this that have sentencing disparities, the governor says, which is why I've extended the deadline for clemency applications until April 3rd. The governor, Polis, saying, "I'll be making decisions on these cases throughout the remainder of my governorship," end quote. So, we're seeing when President Trump says free Tina Peters, we're seeing all of that information on X and on Truth Social and the stories that are out there. And now this situation where you have the governor speaking about it, well, this is something that maybe in the next week, 2 weeks, a month and a half, Tina Peters may be finally set free. on top of that, hopefully within that framework, wouldn't it be great to see the Save America Act passed as well? All right, let's do this. It's 3:31 right now. Let's go to All Family Pharmacy right now once again. As ivermectin is back in the headlines, the National Cancer Institute has launched early-stage lab research to study how it works in the body, including how it may interact with cancer cells. Now, this isn't a treatment recommendation, it's early-stage research, but it does highlight how medications that were once pushed to the sidelines are now being studied by major institutions. And for many Americans, that raises an important question about access. If you've been looking for a reliable place to get medications like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, mebendazole, NAD+, antibiotics, and many other prescriptions, you can check out All Family Pharmacy because they make that process simple. You go online, you complete a short medical form, and a licensed physician reviews your request and prescribes if appropriate. They believe Americans should be able to make informed decisions with their doctors, and they help make that possible. All you have to do is go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN promo code for that RSBN 10% off with AFP. Great sponsor there on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's also go to Birch Gold Group. Think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot price. Well, today's prices, those 33 ounces of gold would be worth $165,000. Smart Americans are diversifying a portion of their savings into precious metals, and that's why you need to consider, or maybe want to consider, buying gold from our friends at Birch Gold Group. Now, for thousands of years, gold has been a store of wealth, and today it's a crucial part of any balanced strategy. And even better, Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered retirement account in gold. All you have to do is text Trump to that number you see on the screen there to 989898, and you'll get some useful information, a free info kit on gold, and they have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers. Let Birch Gold help you diversify with gold. Now you can get that peace of mind starting with Birch Gold Group. Text Trump to 989898. All right, it is 3:34 right now Eastern Time. Thanks so much for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to Iowa as Ryan Rhodes is running for Congress in that great state. He joins us now live to talk about his campaign and the importance of the Save America Act. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me again. It's good, just busy running around the state, and we have our county conventions this weekend. And I hear a lot about people talking and asking questions about the SAVE Act, and they want to know why it's not going anywhere so far.
Exactly, and that's the question a lot of people are asking. So we're talking about it a lot today, of course, and President Trump talking about it as well on Truth Social. So let's just go over some of the same, talking points, because these talking points aren't just for our health. This is for the saving of our nation, to just simply use an ID and have proof of citizenship. What would you say to the people out there when they're asking those questions?
Well, when every poll shows anywhere between 83 and 84% support for this issue, for showing a voter ID, it's absolutely ludicrous that our politicians out there would not go and do this. The holdup is completely unnecessary, and it's against the will of the entire people of America, left or right. And, we need to go to get to the bottom of who's holding it up, who's trying to use us as a bargaining chip for some endorsement or anything else. No, the fact is this legislation could go forward. And the only reason the Democrats in the Senate are opposing it is because they know that they need to cheat to win in a lot of these areas.
Exactly. And you and I have seen it. We saw the millions of people under the Biden regime come across that southern border in droves. Remember those caravans and just so many people. Now we know why most of them are here. A lot of them have left or are being deported. But, man, it's all about the direction of the country. And let's talk about that, Ryan. You running for Congress in that great state, the Hawkeye state of Iowa, what compels you to run for Congress when once you enter into that game, man, it's not the easiest one in the world?
Well, we have to fix our country. We just don't have 20 years or anything else. We're already on the trajectory towards Britain. When we see what's going on in Minneapolis, what's going on in Ohio and Maine with all of the refugees and the migrants coming across, we also know when you're able to commit that much fraud inside the federal system, that there's no way you can tell me that our election system is secure and that you guys are not actually putting potential non-citizens on the voter rolls. So it's important that we use this to get the right folks on the voter rolls so the right people are voting. But we have so many systemic issues across this country where we're under attack from. We even saw this down in Austin, Texas, where we have an illegal from Sierra Leone, I believe, who all of a sudden goes and shoots people up. And we are over and over daily seeing that agenda. And if we don't stop it, if people don't in Congress have the will to do it, we won't have a country left. And the Save America Act is part of that.
Yeah, exactly. We have to have our people voting in our elections. It's common sense stuff. And so, yeah, do you agree with what I've said earlier? I said if you do not pass the Save America Act, or if you're against the Save America Act, you're against saving America.
I mean, I think it's pretty simple. If you're against only citizens voting, then you are against. That's essentially against the American citizens of the country being the only people that have the right to decide our elections.
Exactly. And you were saying before, a lot of the people out there are already saying they want to see this passed. Now let's shift to Iowa. Of course, a huge farming industry, some great people there. I remember doing some campaign trail work there as President Trump was touring the state. But what are you seeing there in Iowa? What do Iowans want to see across the country?
Well, I think Iowans want to see the same stuff in a lot of cases as other people. Yes, we have farming. Our farming is impacted. We want to see stability and what's going on. So the tariff situation needs to get settled and under control. But that also comes to getting and passing balanced budgets and making things ability to plan long term. And I also think we've heard a lot from folks in Iowa about what's gone on with this glyphosate and Roundup, and they're not really happy that they've gotten total immunity. I think that makes the corporations happy, but not the farmer. So I know there's a lot of people on the ground talking about that and wanting to look back in to the immunity that's been given to that. So those are a few of the things that people are talking about, especially in rural America, because Iowa's cancer rates have gone so high. It is a prime target of what we're going to do, how we're going to step forward, and people are really, really looking forward to more of the MAHA agenda.
Exactly. Can you talk to us about the Roundup and the ingredient there that you're talking about? Just give us a maybe just a 411, 30,000-foot view on a latest with what's going on there.
Well, what's happened is they got kind of an order of immunity there, and people were unhappy. They were hoping that there would be some ability to go and get kind of some basically retribution from the courts and from other stuff and be able to see what's going on, because we do need to be able to actually look into this and see what are the things, what can we minimize, what can we reduce to help us reduce our cancer rates in Iowa. And the thing identified, and RFK has identified this, the glyphosate is a key factor that we've seen in our waters and things like that, along with the nitrates. So people are looking at what can we do to reduce the reliance on chemicals in our farming, have more cover crops, things like that, so that we can move in the right direction while also protecting our farmers.
Awesome. And finally, sir, and those of you just joining us, this is Ryan Rhodes running for Congress in Iowa. Can you talk to us about the campaign trail coming up here? Where will you be traveling? And your primary is coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, the primary is June 2nd. We will be traveling we're up in Northwest Iowa, Sioux County, Plymouth, Woodbury, Idaho, all in Northwest Iowa. We've got county conventions, so I'm going to be going and hitting as many of the county conventions as I possibly can, going from trip to trip and talking. So about each location, hopefully I'll be able to hit, 3, 4, or 5, 4 of those, and talk to the delegates who are going to be running to decide the shape of the Iowa GOP.
Awesome. I was going to say that was the last question, but your thoughts about Operation Epic Fury and the leadership of Pete Hegseth right now, as this is surgical strikes and that kind of thing, and hopefully that's about it, but still great new competency we're seeing at that War Department.
Well, what we're seeing is really an indictment on what's gone on for 20 plus years when we had forever wars. They've gone in with epic fury, really, and really taken out the things they needed to take out. There's probably some more things that they need to take out that they've identified. I trust the leadership that they are the Department of War, not the Department of fixing things, not the Department of forever trying to go and assert ourselves on the ground. What we need to do is give the Iranian people a chance for freedom to overthrow a radical Islamic regime that has been causing problems and killing Americans for 47 years. And I think Pete Hegseth has done a fantastic job on this. And I really hope they continue on this same path. And then we close it up and say, all right, that's a wrap.
Ryan Rhodes, running for Congress in Iowa. Thanks again. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff there in Iowa, 341, Thursday, March 5th. Thanks for joining us live here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're about to see President Trump in a little bit. We'll see the MLS team down in Miami who won the championship last year. So we'll see that too. But also at about 4:30 on a separate broadcast, we'll have the Department of War update, the Operation Epic Fury third press conference. That'll be happening at about 4:30 at the bottom of the next hour. In the meantime, it's 3:42 Eastern Time. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First news. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez. It's almost Friday, getting there, Thursday, March 5th. I think we might have some possible coverage over the weekend as well. Saturday, President Trump having this event with leaders from Latin America. So we'll see what time that may start. Of course, something usually that you'll see right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's 3:44, Thursday, March 5th. Let's go to a few of our sponsors here on Right Side, including Rumble Wallet. You see it right there. You may have seen those conversations happening online lately. Censorship is back. It's happening everywhere. Platforms are controlling narratives and pushing the stuff they want us to see. So, of course, we can fight back in the information and financial area. Rumble is one of the only companies that has stood the test of time and deserves our support, because on one side, Rumble is challenging big tech censorship, but on the other side, they have introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. So banks can cancel our accounts and freeze our cards. So that's why Rumble has launched Rumble Wallet, a wallet that no one can cancel and a wallet that supporters can use to instantly tip creators like us and others without the middleman taking the cuts. So with Rumble Wallet, you control your money. Not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can touch it. And it's yours and only yours to protect your future and family. So what we've learned about Rumble Wallet is that you can actually buy and save digital assets like Bitcoin and Tether Gold in one place. Tether Gold is real gold on the blockchain with ownership of physical gold bars. So it's not only a wallet to buy and save, but it also allows you to support your favorite creators by easily tipping them with the click of a button. There will be no fees when you tip our channel or others, and we actually receive the tip instantly, unlike other platforms where we have to wait for payouts. You can support our show and the other shows out there, the creators on Rumble, by clicking the tip button on our channel. wallet.rumble.com. You can download Rumble Wallet today, open an account, step away from the big banks for good. Wallet.rumble.com or search Rumble Wallet in the app stores. All right, it's about 15 minutes to the top of the hour. Let's go to a clip that we played earlier. This is in regards to the Secretary of War. Actually, let's go to Cove Pier as well before we do that. So we're past all of the new year, new me stuff. This is the part where we forget about it or we make it easy enough that we actually follow through, because that's where Cove Pier steps in. Here's the thing. Most people, of course, tend to go overboard buying new supplements, trying a new diet or workout, always good stuff. But some people forget or completely ignore the most important basic thing, simply water. Even mild dehydration impacts energy, focus, and metabolism. And when you think about all the garbage that's in our water, you're starting behind the curve before you even begin. And Cove Pier changes that immediately. Their ClearWave technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants, pretty much anything that isn't water. The PFAs, microplastics, pharmaceutical residue, fluoride, all gets removed. It's the purest water that you can get. So just go to covepier.com/RSBN. Get that $250 off right now. That's a limited time for that discount there. Go to covepier.com/RSBN, as this is another great sponsor on Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's 3:47 Thursday, March 5th. Again, monitoring a number of news stories out there. In the meantime, as we get ready to go to Washington, D.C. for President Trump, we can actually go to Washington, D.C. right now, as we have a great leader in the Louisiana House of Representatives joining us right now. We're going to go there in just a second, as we're having a couple technical difficulties here on the screen. Let me just double check what's going on here, and we'll go there in just a second. Okay. Okay, let's just double check. Why don't we go to a quick commercial break? We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Congresswoman Julia Letlow joins us right now live in D.C. Thanks so much for joining us, Julia.
Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. Let's go right out of the gate talking about the Save America Act. Is that one of the things outside of Operation Epic Fury everyone's talking about there in D.C.?
Yes, they're talking about it in D.C., but most importantly, they're talking about it in Louisiana. Wherever I go across all four corners of the state, people are demanding that we pass the SAVE Act. Now, we've passed it 3 times out of the House. It is time for the Senate to step up, do their job, pass it through so that President Trump can sign it into law. 71% of Americans feel strongly that you should be a United States citizen and have to prove that before voting in our elections. It's a winning message. It's the right thing to do to save our country. The Senate needs to do their job.
100%. And that's what the people of Louisiana are saying. And across the country, it's common sense to do it. It's great to keep talking about it because, you know, a lot of times maybe in the mainstream media or the leftist media, they're not going to really cover something like this, like, oh, and just like let it go to the side. But the importance of it is simple. It's the direction of our country. And as you know, running for, as a congressman, you ran for that and got that because you wanted to save the nation. You wanted to keep freedom as what we need in this country, right?
Absolutely. And what we saw under President Biden's administration, allowing an overflow of illegal immigrants coming into our country, I think close to 15 million here illegally, they should not have the right to vote in our elections. Again, the future of this country is at stake. The Senate must act now.
Also, shifting gears, I saw on your X page that you met the great Nick Shirley recently. Let's talk about the fraud, the waste, the abuse that he uncovered. He's a star right now because he did great work. And what was that like to meet him? And what was the conversation like? And your thoughts on any fraud, waste, and abuse going on across our country?
It was wonderful to meet with Nick Shirley, and I commended him on journalism and the great job that he did uncovering the waste, fraud, and abuse that was happening there. That's a travesty, what happened with those child care centers. It's a travesty for two people, the taxpayers that were funding it, but also the children who were not receiving child care that these programs were intended and set up to do. As an appropriator, we act in good faith that the states will carry out our dollars, our taxpayer dollars that we send to them. What was happening there should never happen again. We're actually passed 2 bills out of education and workforce to make sure that we have safeguards in place, that these phony child daycare centers are not allowed to be stood up anymore in our country.
So we see that now with Nick Shirley doing great work out there and a lot of other people, citizen journalists out there. What would you like to say to we, the people that are watching this right now that say, you know what, I want to get involved somehow? I mean, is it as simple as contacting a United States senator to say, hey, let's pass the Save America Act? I mean, what are some of the encouraging things you'd like to share with the people?
I would encourage everyone to reach out to your senators right now. The Save America Act is the #1 priority that we need to be shouting from the rooftops. We have to get this to the president's desk. The country is at stake. So yes, take an active role. Reach out to your senators and any issue that you have. That's what we are here to do. We represent the people of the United States. Reach out. Let your voices be heard, because we should be up here representing you in the people's house.
Exactly, 100%. And for those of you just joining us, this is Louisiana Congresswoman Julia Letlow joining us live. And finally, ma'am, can you share with us the specifics about LNG, liquefied natural gas in Louisiana? What's the latest when it comes to that?
Oh, it is the lifeblood of our state. We have to decrease those burdensome regulations that were put in place by President Biden, and the Trump administration has been doing just that. LNG is vital for our state, and I will continue supporting it up here in Washington to make sure that we know best how to do energy production, and you can see it right in Louisiana. We do the best job right there also in the Gulf of America.
Yeah, it's great to see that. Louisiana Congresswoman Julia Letlow, thank you again for joining us. Hope to have you back here on Right Side again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, it is 3:54, Thursday, March 5th. Great to speak with the Congresswoman Julia Letlow there out of Louisiana, live in Washington, D.C. We're about 6 minutes from the top of the hour. You see what it says right there on the lower third of your screen. We're going to see President Trump along with the MLS Major League Soccer champion Miami team, the Inter Miami CF team will be there. And then again at 4:30 Eastern time on a separate live stream will be whenever the Department of War Operation Epic Fury third press conference starts. We'll have that as well. So a lot of news going on more in the afternoon today here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's go to a few of our sponsors as we get ready to go again to Washington, D.C. All Family Pharmacy. You know, we interviewed the owner, Michael Kunstler, just yesterday about the fact that ivermectin is back in the headlines. The National Cancer Institute has launched early-stage lab research to study how it works in the body, including how it may interact with cancer cells. Now, it's a treatment, not an actual treatment recommendation. It's more of early-stage research, but what it does is it highlights how medications that were once pushed to the sidelines are now being studied by major institutions. And for many Americans, that raises an important question about access. So if you've been looking for a reliable place to get medications like ivermectin or antibiotics, mebendazole, hydroxychloroquine, NAD+, and other prescriptions, All Family Pharmacy makes that process simple. And sometimes when we talk about all of these medications like hydroxychloroquine or NAD+, you might be looking at me like, what the heck are you talking about? I've never heard of NAD+. Well, all you have to do is check it out online, learn about all these various medications. So instead of just listening to maybe the word mebendazole, knowing exactly what that may do for you. I mean, a lot of people being very interested, again, in ivermectin as well recently. Now, the process for all of this is simple. You go online, complete a short medical form, and a licensed physician reviews your request and then will prescribe if appropriate. So All Family Pharmacy believes Americans should be able to make informed decisions with their doctors, and they help make that possible. So just go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN for 10% off. Allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Also, angelpace.com, as we're approaching the top of the hour, you can get 10% off. Use the RSBN promo code right there on your screen. You can see at the bottom of your screen there. You can use the QR code as well. Angelpace.com, the miracle cream right there on the right side of your screen. Also, a lot of different products on there. The lotions, the mists, all the stuff. It's good skincare product that you can get right here with angelpace.com. Again, use that RSBN promo code. Based in Spring, Texas, angelpace.com. It's 3:57 Eastern Time, Thursday, March 5th. We're about to go to the White House. You see the live picture there. As soon as that starts, we'll take you there live. In the meantime, we know that earlier today, President Trump spoke about a number of things, including the Save America Act, saying, quote, the Republicans must do with passion and at the expense of everything else, the Save America Act, and not the watered-down version. The president says this is a country-defining fight for the soul of our nation. So we're tracking that story. We're tracking the Operation Epic Fury, Day 6, of course, and many other stories out there that you guys have seen right here on Right Side, including the freeing of Tina Peters. Hopefully that will happen soon. And when I say that, I don't say that lightly, because the governor of Colorado kind of teasing a possible release of Tina Peters in a recent X post speaking about the following. And I'll just read that quote. I don't have that image for you on the TV screen here, but what we do have, of course, if you have X, you can go to, and it's probably on Truth Social at this time as well, that Governor Polis out of Colorado said last week, former state senator Sonia Jacquez Lewis was sentenced to probation and community service after being convicted of 4 felonies, including attempt to influence a public official. So there's a state senator that has been charged with 4 felonies, including attempt to influence a public official. The governor of Colorado saying she made a horrible mistake and she was wrong. I hope she learns from this and can rebuild her life. Now, the governor is saying, as someone who has known Sonia as a friend for many years on a personal level, I was glad to hear she isn't going to prison, which is a hard place for anyone, no less a retired 68-year-old pharmacist. The governor of Colorado saying, but it is not lost on me that she was convicted of the exact same felony charge as Tina Peters, attempting to influence a public official. And yet Tina Peters, as a nonviolent first-time offender, got a 9-year sentence. So what we're seeing is that Governor Polis is saying that this is the context I'm using as I consider cases like this that have sentencing disparities, which is why I've extended the deadline for clemency applications until April 3rd. I'll be making decisions on these cases throughout the remainder of my governorship, end quote. There's a portion of the X post as well that you can check out in its entirety there, but that's pretty much what we're seeing there when it comes to the latest with Tina Peters, because the person that runs Tina Peters' account on X said, quote, thank you at GovOfCO, so Governor of Colorado, for recognizing this disparity and injustice done to Tina Peters and the courage to acknowledge it. Incarcerated for now 518 days. That person on the Tina Peters account saying, end the injustice, free Tina Peters now. And we know President Trump has been saying that for quite some time, as are we the people here in the United States of America. So yeah, a lot going on, guys. We've been following even the Clinton depositions from just a few days ago. Operation Epic Fury is entering Day 6. We have covered a lot of that just in the past hour and a half alone here on the network. The Save America Act, the latest on that, and also we'll be seeing President Trump here moments away with the MLS champion team from Miami. Maybe President Trump will take questions after, we don't know. Sometimes he doesn't when it's these kind of events, we'll see. But we do know at 4:30 we'll hear from the Department of War as they have another press conference coming up for Operation Epic Fury. All right, so let's do this. Since we're awaiting the details or the live picture there from the White House, let's go over some of the latest for the Save America Act. And I know that I've said probably those three words, Save America Act, probably maybe 15 times, maybe 25 times in the past hour and a half. But you know what? A lot of times viewers will join, maybe go back to something else, come back to us, but also outside of that, more importantly, to keep talking about it, to keep talking about it. I don't care how many times it needs to be said, because at the end of the day, we do want our country to be simply saved from the hands of people that are extremely left, woke, that don't like our Constitution, that don't like the First and Second Amendment, that don't like what most of this country is founded on, in the sense of the people that believe in the following things: God, family, country. So Save America Act is what it's all about, of course, and we're going to get into some of that here in just a second. But if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate for more information on that. If you'd like to, of course, give any dollars and cents to Right Side Broadcasting Network, as we know, we're growing and expanding here at the network, so it's great to see that. Also, shout out for those of you that are wondering, where's Robert McNeely? Well, he is on vacation. He'll be back next week as well, so it'll be great to have Robert back here in Studio A. Also, let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. You can see the mattress and topper sale. And also, guys, thanks to the in-laws, boom, right here, the MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets, because I talk about them a lot. And my wife and I, we have some of the sheets from a while ago, and now we have new ones. So it's always cool to see that. Go ahead and go to mypillow.com/RSBN. A lot of great gifts on there, great products, as you guys know. And Mike Lindell running for governor in Minnesota. Hopefully he'll win that and turn that state around. You know, let's win it one state at a time, but quickly. And hopefully that'll be happening via the Save America Act as well. Let's go over some of that. It's 4:03, Thursday, March 5th. The guys, trust me, as soon as we see the president, we'll take you there live. All right, let's dive into this act right now, because on Grok, which I check it out on X, you type in something, you know, what's the latest with the Save America Act? You can get Grok to tell you all this stuff, but then you got to verify and make sure that's all accurate. And I've seen it. This is all true information, but this is the latest that we're seeing. So the Save America Act, also known as the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, or SAVE Act in various forms, of course, is a Republican-backed bill requiring documentary proof of U.S. citizenship for voter registration in federal elections, along with stricter photo ID rules for voting, limits on mail-in ballots, and related election integrity measures. As of early March 2026, as of today, actually, March 5th, the latest status in the U.S. Senate is as follows. So the House passed an amended version of the bill, often referred to as the Save America Act, on February 11th. It's now March 5th, of course. Now, that was by a narrow vote. Some say it's 217 to 213, Grok saying 218 to 213. But it has been received in the Senate, but has not yet been voted on or passed. Senate Majority Leader John Thune out of South Dakota has indicated the Senate would take it up for a vote, quote, very soon, or, quote, this week, per reports from late February, early March. Well, this week is still here, and very soon the time's ticking on that, you know? So that's why a lot of people are calling, whether it's the United States Senator John Thune or others, to pass the Save America Act. I called as well this morning, not only as a professional in the news business, but, you know, as a citizen, you know, to see if we can get a statement or an interview just to talk about the Save America Act. Again, if you are against passing the Save America Act, you're against saving America. That's not cool. We don't like that. We the people don't like that kind of thing. We want this to be passed. So Republicans, of course, hold a majority in the Senate and have secured at least a 50 to 51 votes in support, including Senator Susan Collins backing, pushing it to 51, including the vice president's tiebreaker potential. However, Democrats are expected to filibuster, requiring 60 votes. So that filibuster where they talk and talk and talk. Well, they're expected to filibuster, requiring 60 votes to invoke cloture and advance the bill. Now, Thune has stated Republicans are not even close to the 60 votes needed to overcome a filibuster, and there is no indication of eliminating or bypassing the filibuster rule. Well, there's another thing that we should do. Bypass the filibuster. Nuke the filibuster. President Trump has said it. Others have said it as well. Let's get it done. Nuke it, because we have to get past those on the left that are saying, no, I don't want to save America. Let's end America Act. Let's let illegal aliens vote in America. Let's end the freedom of speech in America. Let's not let you have your Second Amendment right in America Act. You hear what I'm saying, guys? This is what we're actually facing. So when we see the president, when we see people on, whether it's conservative media like right here on Right Side or other networks out there talking about this, that's what we're talking about. The Save America Act. And if you've been hearing the word Save America Act and you're like, well, what is that? Please just check it out online. This is something that I think over the years, you know, I'm 44, so I know I'm not that old, but I'm 44. And some might say you're old. But, you know, we've been just used to freedom being around for this country for so long. You know, we you know, can go to church, or you can go to your place of worship, you go to a sporting event, you go to a movie, you go to a concert, you have a good time, whatever, you know, you have a family, you get married, all, yeah, freedom, America, yeah, woohoo, USA, USA. And trust me, I've heard the USA chants loud and clear at all of the Trump rallies that we've covered, and they are awesome. I mean, what an awesome time. But all of that is what it's all about, is for us to be able to do what I just said. Go out there and, you know, live your life. It's a free country, they say, right? I live in a free country. How long will our country be free if things like the Save America Act doesn't pass, or people aren't held accountable, or there's no transparency, and then we have some real winner in the White House again on the left side of history? You know what I mean? So why don't we at least close that loophole of, oh, somebody outside of this country just all of a sudden's here, and they go and vote in some state. They don't show an ID. They don't show proof of citizenship. They got maybe through the border because of a leftist administration. They're told by a lot of political activists, vote for this candidate, vote for that person. And it's somebody on the left side of history, and it alters our United States of America. That's the kind of thing that we're facing. I know there's a lot of news going on out there, and we're covering it. We're talking about it. Not afraid to. That's what we do, you know? Unfortunately, mainstream media, they don't talk like this. They play TV over there. They play TV. I used to work in mainstream media, but those days are over. I don't want to work in the mainstream ever again. Because on this side of history, on the right side of history, is where we can freely love God, love our family, love our country, love freedom, love common sense, love truth, love justice, and love the American way. 4:09, Thursday, March 5th. Isn't there a song with 409 in it? 409. Anyway, I'm not going to try and sing for you. All right, so let's do this. We're going to go through some more specifics as we're tracking the latest. I would go to some videos and interviews right now, but of course, as we get close to seeing the president, usually against the rules, we can't do that because we want to see as soon as the president pops up, we'll take it there live. Again, let's go over some of the specifics about this event that's happening here at 4 o'clock or any minute from now. The president will participate in the visit of the 2025 Major League Soccer Champions, the Inter Miami CF, in the East Room of the White House. I thought originally it was the Inter Miami FC, like the football club, but I double checked and it actually is CF in that order, so got it right. At 4:30, the Department of War will hold its third press conference on Operation Epic Fury. So that was something that was announced, I believe, earlier today. We'll have that for you here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. If you are just joining us, if you'd like, maybe after this event, if you'd like to, we interviewed a number of great people here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, including Louisiana Congresswoman Julia Letlow, Ryan Rhodes, who's also running for Congress in Iowa, and a great military guest joined us as well. So you might want to check that out if you'd like from earlier, as we are on standby right now, awaiting the president to start that event in the White House, the East Room there. While we do this, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back here on Right Side.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First news. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Broadcasting Network. I was checking some of the social media feeds out there and just saw on one of them, specifically the Benson NewsHub, prayers over President Trump in the Oval Office. Did not have time to be able to send something like this over, so what we'll do is just going to hit play on this for you to listen in.
We pray for your continued blessing and favor to rest upon him. We pray for wisdom from heaven to flood his heart, his mind, and Lord, you will guide him in these challenging times that we're facing today. I pray for your grace and your protection over him. I pray for your grace and protection over our troops and all of our men and women serving in our armed forces. And Father, we just pray you'll continue to give our president the strength that he needs to lead our great nation as we come back to one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We pray your heavenly blessing upon him in Jesus' name.
So that's on Benson NewsHub, just checking that out there. And I know it'd be kind of far, but that's the video there, obviously, in the Oval Office. They're just, seeing this probably happen within the past, 10, 20 minutes. This was posted 7 minutes ago. Also, we're seeing on Breaking 911 that the Israeli Air Force has launched a wave of strikes in Beirut targeting Hezbollah terror infrastructure. We also are seeing and hearing from Markwayne Mullin, the new DHS Secretary, saying the following on X. As a kid from Westville, it has been the greatest honor and privilege to serve the people of Oklahoma for the past 13 years in both the House and the Senate. Again, this is Markwayne Mullin, newly minted Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. He says, I am grateful to President Trump for nominating me to lead the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. I look forward to earning the support of my colleagues in the Senate and carrying out President Trump's mission alongside the department's many capable agencies and the thousands of patriots who keep us safe every day. Markwayne Mullin, the new Secretary of the DHS, says President Trump ran on restoring law and order, and he quickly delivered the most secure U.S. border in American history. I look forward to supporting POTUS's mission to safeguard the American people and defend the homeland. Carolyn Levitt, also on X about 47 minutes ago, and most likely on Truth Social as well. President Trump is grateful to Kristi Noem for helping usher in the most secure border in American history, and he looks forward to her continuing to serve in her important role as Special Envoy for the Shield of Americas. The White House will work with the Senate to confirm the extraordinarily qualified Senator Markwayne Mullin as the next Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security as quickly as possible. President Trump's immigration agenda is keeping our borders secure and deporting illegal alien criminals from our country and it will continue without interruption. So we're seeing that specifically from Carolyn Levitt and the Rapid Response 47 page on X right now. There's a lot of posts here from various people, and I think I'll just continue on that feed right now as we're awaiting the president. This scheduled for 4 o'clock Eastern as we're awaiting the president there in the East Room of the White House. Representative Andy Biggs out of Arizona saying, quote, "Congratulations to Senator Mark Wayne Mullen on being nominated by President Trump to be our next Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. I trust Senator Mullen will execute the administration's vision and policies to effectively protect our homeland. I look forward to working with him and his team to fulfill the core focus of government, which is to defend the liberties of all innocent citizens across our great nation." Secretary Kristi Noem inherited the worst border in our country's history. In short order, she and President Trump secured the border and took meaningful steps to remove dangerous criminals from our communities. For her efforts, she has our gratitude as she leaves office. So details there from Rapid Response 47, which most of you guys that are in the know of what's going on out there, of course, follow Rapid Response 47 on Truth Social, on X, various platforms out there. And of course, you follow Right Side Broadcasting Network here in the headquarters in Alabama right now as we're getting ready to go to Washington, D.C. As you guys have seen throughout the past few days, quite the foggy, cold weather there in D.C. Some snow earlier in the week, but it is still, of course, winter time in the Northeast as we get ready to go to the East Room of the White House. All right, for those of you just joining us, just to bring you up to speed on some of the 24/7 news cycle stories that we've been tracking here at the network. Of course, Operation Epic Fury, Day 6 happening as we speak there in the Middle East. A lot of people saying, let this be a surgical strikes, and then get out of there and not have a long ground war type of thing. And so we're just monitoring what will happen. Of course, we've heard from the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, the Department of War Secretary, the President, Carolyn Levitt, the Press Secretary, everyone talking about getting the mission accomplished there before ending it. So what those missions are, I'm going to go specifically to those notes here on my iPad and share that with you. The White House released a statement about Operation Epic Fury. President Trump saying, quote, on March 2nd, by the way, "Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities. Second, we're annihilating their navy. Third, we're ensuring that the world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon. And finally, we're ensuring that the Iranian regime cannot continue to arm, fund, and direct terrorist armies outside of their borders." That statement from the president just on March 2nd. And the White House also released information about Iran in a press release titled "The Iranian Regime's Decades of Terrorism Against American Citizens," saying, quote, "For nearly half a century, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, has killed and maimed American citizens and service members through its own forces and proxy militias. More Americans have been killed by Iran than any other terrorist regime on earth." The White House concluding by saying President Donald J. Trump is doing what presidents over the last 5 decades have refused to do: eliminate the threat once and for all by destroying Iran's missiles, annihilating their navy, and ensuring they can never obtain a nuclear weapon. The Trump administration's bold and decisive action is protecting Americans' lives and advancing American interests. So, again, while we report what the White House is saying, of course, we want to see those of us that are in support are saying, let's see the surgical strikes and get out of there. Others are saying, let's not make this a boots on the ground, long game situation there in the Middle East. Just reporting what I've been seeing out there on X, on Truth Social, and talking with a number of people. But we'll see what happens, We know that President Trump and the Department of War really quickly moved in Venezuela, surgical strikes and out. You remember Midnight Hammer, the first go around with Iran, in and out there with the nuclear, facilities or the locations. So what will happen on this third operation here when it's now called Operation Epic Fury? We've been seeing quite the munitions by land, air, and sea over there in the Middle East. So we'll be tracking that story along with a number of other stories, including the latest with the Save America Act, the latest with the video depositions when it comes to the Epstein files with the Clintons, and any other stories that we're tracking out there. But at the end of the day, aren't we glad that we have someone like President Trump in and not Kamala Harris right now? You know, I mean, think about the past, I don't know how many years now, since 2015. All of the great accomplishments that were done by President Donald J. Trump, all of the breakthroughs that happened in our country, really putting us at a different level out there for the United States of America. And now what we want to see from here, of course, many say, more wins, more accountability, more transparency, all the things. I'm only, I guess you could call it a host or an anchor or a reporter, a journalist or a commentator, right? But my thoughts and words, I believe, count too, right? Because we're all part of this thing, having the freedom of speech here in this country. And it's been great to meet a number of you out there at various events over the past several years since working here in 2022 when it comes to interviewing we the people out there, all of you guys out there, because that's what this is all about. Our nation, our freedom, and the continuing of that in this United States of America. So the Save America Act, of course, very important to pass as it's 4:21 Eastern time. Doing a little bit tap dancing right now for you guys because we're stretching just a little bit. As soon as we see that live feed, we'll take you to the White House. In the meantime, I'm going to grab a quick drink of water and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Broadcasting Network. Within the past 10 minutes, we saw a post from President Donald J. Trump saying the following. Number one, the Save America Act, exclamation point. 1, all voters must show voter ID. And then in parentheses, the president, to make sure anybody doesn't, if you don't know what ID means, he says identification with an exclamation point there on this Truth Social post. Again, 10 minutes ago on Truth Social. Number 2, all voters must show proof of citizenship in order to vote. Okay, so number 1 is show voter ID, so an identification. Number 2, all voters must show proof of citizenship in order to vote. Number 3, he has here on this Truth Social post that we're just seeing here at the network, no mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. All right, so we have 3 of a few points here that the president's making. Number 4, talking about no men and women's sports. And number 5, no transgender mutilation surgery for children. So those are the 5 things that President Trump is posting on Truth Social right now. And of course, to review, for those of you just joining, all voters must show voter ID if we pass this Save America Act. Number 2, all voters must show proof of citizenship in order to vote. You know, I wonder if other countries are listening to this and whether they're watching on RSBN or not, which has happened before. But if they're watching some of the news, I mean, if you look at some of these international news outlets out there, like I have because I'm a nerd, but I'll watch news from Europe and Asia and all over the place, the Middle East, you know. actual networks that are based in other countries. France has France 24, of course, the BBC, Sky News. You have ABC, not the ABC from America, Australian Broadcast Company. I mean, there's so many networks out there. I wonder if they watch and they go, our country, you have to have an ID to vote. You have to show your proof of citizenship. You can't vote in our elections without one. They might be like, what? How in the world has the United States of America gone so long without having those two things in order to simply vote? Again, we hear about it. Oh, you have your right to vote and all that. That's great. That's what we have to have. But again, this is the direction, the steering of our whole country, and the way it goes is how the elections are, right? Obviously, this last election was too big to rig. The 2020 election, don't get me started on the 2020 election today. We know what happened there. 2016, President Trump, a landslide. He won all 7 swing states in 2016, then was the newly minted 45th president in 2017. And then in 2024, he won all 7 swing states, the newly minted president in 2025. So what happened in 2020? How did we win the 7 swing states in 2016 and in 2024? And then every swing state in 2020 was lost. Every one of them. How did that happen? Georgia and Michigan and all of them. Interesting. While Biden was in the basement, if y'all remember, campaigning out there with the circles where people, because of COVID, had to sit in. There's not many words to say. That's why I can be quiet about it, because it's common sense stuff. And it gets a little bit annoying, to be honest, that we have to be even thinking about pass the Save America Act. Are you serious? You're not passing the Save America? Wait, the Save America Act. Come on now, guys. So when I say all this, guys, there's actions that are louder than the words that I'm speaking. I called Senator John Thune's office today and left a message, a nice, respectful, professional message, but saying simply, can we have a statement or an interview from the senator regarding the latest for the Save America Act? And I did think for one hot second, maybe I would call the number live here on the program right now, but then I'd have to say, hey, you're live on, the program and, the whole recording laws. And I just was like, I won't go that far. But I could, I guess. As long as it's on the up and up, we want to hear from our people that are supposed to be representing us as to why there's any slowdown for this act from being passed. All right, so anyway, 4:28, we're approaching the bottom of the hour right now. Let's see if there is something that we can go to. Director, do we have any brief videos that we can go to in regards to whether it's Operation Epic Fury or maybe the latest when it comes to earlier today? We know that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, was speaking, and so was Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff. They were talking about the highlights there when it comes to the America's Counter Cartel Conference at the U.S. Southern Command headquarters in Doral, Florida. So maybe we can go to that one here in a second. Clip 3 is, which clip is that, guys? Okay, let's do that. Let's go to yesterday's event, the pledge for ratepayers that you saw here on right side. Let's go to that White House video as we await the President of the United States there at the East Room of the White House.
We're here this afternoon for a historic signing that will help keep down utility bills very, very substantially. Today we follow through on an announcement I made in my State of the Union address last week as America's largest tech companies officially signed the Ratepayer Protection Pledge. It's a big deal. This is a historic win for countless American families.
We're going to win in AI, and we're going to stop the rise in electricity prices. because of the 7 leaders that are sitting around this table.
Mr. President, we want to be on your team to deliver a big win for the American people.
You've made us all know that it's not about the products, it's about the people.
We as an administration are using every tool at our disposal to ensure that the U.S. can build and maintain the largest, most powerful, and most advanced AI infrastructure anywhere on the planet.
And to your point, it must be powered by abundant and affordable energy if it is to benefit all Americans.
This is a win-win-win across the board.
Okay, so you saw that, of course, here on Right Side just yesterday, as today is Thursday, March 5th. We'll see what kind of coverage happens tomorrow, as it will be, of course, Friday, March 6th. So we'll wait for the president's public schedule. Usually that comes out the night before, and then we'll cover that event the next day. Also, coming up on Saturday, it looks like there will be an event for the president down in Florida as he meets with 12 Latin American leaders coming up on Saturday. So there'll be an event that day as well. Don't know the time yet. We'll probably learn that time tomorrow. Usually the day before we learn about what's coming up the next day. So it definitely keeps us on the edge of our seat. Definitely does, as to what will be the next day's coverage. So today, of course, we'll be seeing the MLS champion Inter Miami CF football team, the football club there, for the Major League Soccer team out there. Meantime, let's go to some of those highlights from the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, and the War Department Secretary, Pete Hegseth. They addressed the America's Counter Cartel Conference at the U.S. Southern Command headquarters in Doral, Florida. What we'll do is we'll go to that quick video here. If we see the president, we'll just cue that and go right to it live. So let's go to clip 4 as we await the President of the United States.
We are not going to cede an inch of territory in this hemisphere to our enemies or our adversaries. Our national security, our homeland security, the safety and well-being of our people begins at home, begins in our neighborhood, begins in our home region. And for too long, we have allowed foreign enemies, foreign adversaries, and enemy terrorist organizations to control territory and spaces in this hemisphere where they can project power, project threats, and directly threaten the lives of your citizens and our citizens. And so under the leadership of President Trump, we are using hard power, military power, lethal force to protect and defend the American homeland. Not a single one of your nations should tolerate the existence of a single square mile of territory that is under the control of any entity other than the sovereign governments of your country.
In 1823, President Monroe said that the United States owed the success of that young country to the candor and amicable relations with other powers to affirm our national policy. President Monroe declared we should consider any attempt on malign countries to extend their system to any portion of this hemisphere as dangerous to our peace and safety. It was the Monroe Doctrine of 1823. And today, some 200 years later, we still marvel at the wisdom of President Monroe's declaration. We're at long last putting America, Americans, and the Americas first, ensuring peace through strength and restoring common sense. At our department, we're doing it by restoring the warrior ethos, rebuilding our military to historic levels, and reestablishing deterrent.
All right, so we're seeing that the President of the United States is about to enter the East Room of the White House. Of course, we aired a number of the great Pete Hegseth sound bites and various comments there. We'll be getting back to that in just a bit. And you could always check it out here on replay as well, as we played a few of these clips a few times as we've been standing by for the President. Let's go there to the East Room of the White House.
and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, accompanied by Jorge Mas, owner of the Inter Miami CF, and Lionel Messi.
That's great. It's great to be here. Champions. We like champions. We like winners. And we got a lot of them here today. Too many to introduce. A lot of them are political champions, and we don't care about them today, right? Right, Duffy? But we have, most importantly, wonderful people that love our country. And before we begin, I think I will say a few words about what's going on with respect to our operation in the country of Iran. The United States military, together with the wonderful Israeli partners, continues to totally demolish the enemy far ahead of schedule and at levels that people have never seen before, actually. We're destroying more of Iran's missiles and drone capability every single hour, knocking them out like nobody thought was possible. As soon as they set off a missile, within 4 minutes, the launcher gets hit. They don't know what's happening. But we have the greatest military anywhere in the world. Their Navy is gone. 24 ships in 3 days. That's a lot of ships. Their anti-aircraft weapons are gone. So they have no air force. They have no air defense. All of their airplanes are gone. Their communications are gone. Missiles are gone. Launches are gone. About 60% and 64% respectively. Other than that, they're doing quite well. I said, what's left? But they're tough, and they want to fight. And they're calling. They're saying, how do we make a deal? I said, you're being a little bit late. And we want to fight now more than they do. We've had 47 years, depending on the way you count it, but 47 years of horror with this group. And, when you see somebody walking down the street without their legs, without the arms, whose face is so badly affected and hurt, it mostly came from 95% Soleimani and Iran, and we, other presidents, lived with it. I didn't live with it. And so our people are doing a great job. Again, the greatest military anyone's seen. Thank you. Thank you very much. And yesterday, my administration announced decisive action to help keep down the oil prices, including offering political risk insurance for tankers transiting into the Gulf, as you know, pretty dangerous territory. Further action to reduce pressure on oil is imminent, and the oil seems to have pretty much stabilized. We had it very low, but I had to take this little detour if it's okay with everybody. Scott, it's okay with you? Scott's the one who has to put up with it. He said, you have to do this now? I said, I have to do it, Scott, right? But it's been very strong, and everybody, including Scott, everybody feels we had really no choice. They were going to hit us if we didn't hit them, because they're crazy. And in the long term, the actions we're taking will dramatically increase the stability of the region and oil prices and stock markets and everything else. We set the all-time record in history with the Dow going to 50,000. So Dow is at 50,000. It was supposed to be maybe, if we were lucky, within by the end of my presidency in 4 years. And we did it in my first year. We did the S&P 500. We did that in a period of less than a year. And that was even tougher than the Dow, they said, so it wasn't going to happen. But we have a great country. We have a country that's never done this well. We've had tremendous success in so many different ways. I built the military and rebuilt it in my first term, and we're using it more than I'd like to use it, to be honest with you. But when we used it, we found out it certainly did work. When we look at Venezuela, when we look at the first attack, Midnight Hammer in Iran, which really set the stage for what we're doing right now. It's been pretty amazing. And I'm once again calling on all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the military and the police, to lay down their arms. They're only going to be killed. And now is the time to stand up for the Iranian people and help take back your country. You're going to have a chance after all these years to take back your country. Accept immunity. We'll give you immunity. And we'll be giving you really the right side of history, because that's what it is. So you'll be perfectly safe with total immunity, or you'll face absolutely guaranteed death. And I don't want to see that. They don't want to see it either. We also urge Iranian diplomats around the world to request asylum and to help us shape a new and better Iran with great potential. It's a country with great potential. There's much better future for Iran. It's now beginning. It's going to be, I think, a great future. And the United States will ensure that whoever leads the country next, Iran will not threaten America or its neighbors, Israel, anybody. If you look at what happened, they had missiles aimed at all of these other countries, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, many others that weren't really involved very much, and they had missiles aimed. Well, they were aimed there long before this ever started. They were going after the entire Middle East. And then we came along. We blew up their party. So we have phenomenal people. I want to thank all of the people that have been involved. Marco, you've been doing a fantastic job. And you've been doing a fantastic job on a place called Cuba. Right? Right. And A-Rod came in before. I said, hey, do you want to come up to a little award? He's gone to plenty of award ceremonies. Thank you, A-Rod. Big fan. But what's happening with Cuba is amazing. And we think that we want to finish this one first, but that will be just a question of time before you and a lot of unbelievable people are going to be going back to Cuba. Hopefully not to stay. We want you back, and we don't want to lose you. We don't want to make it so nice that they stay. But some people probably do want to stay. They love Cuba so much. I hear it all the time. That was another one that wasn't supposed to happen. Venezuela is going great. It's been stabilized. We have a wonderful person as your president-elect, Delcy Rodriguez, and she and her staff have been doing a fantastic job working with us. We're taking out hundreds of millions of barrels of oil, and it's going to Houston and various other places where it's being refined, and we're sending them back far more money than they've made in many years, and actually very shortly it'll be more money than they've ever made. And Venezuela is working. So we've had a lot of countries in places that truly love, you would say football, I would say soccer, but these are all countries that love football/soccer. And so I think the group likes it. And if you'd like, you could sit. I know I'm a very exciting speaker, but you can sit down if you'd like, okay? I'm looking at everybody standing. I'm saying, let's sit down. Because we're here to honor these great champions, and we want to take our time, right? Let's get to the reason that we're here, and it's a beautiful reason because we're honoring truly talented people. Today we're thrilled to host the 2025 MLS Cup Champions, Inter Miami. Great job. And it's my distinct privilege to say what no American president has ever had the chance to say before. Welcome to the White House, Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi is, my son said, Dad, you know who's going to be there today? And I said, no, I got a lot of things going on. He said, Messi. And I said, really? He's a big fan. He's a big fan of yours. He thinks you're just a great person, and I think you got to meet a little while. So he's a big soccer fan, but he's a tremendous fan of yours. And a gentleman named Ronaldo. We have Cristiano is great. You're great. Boy, some big champions, some great athletes in that sport, and people that really love what they're doing, and they're doing it well. And it's an honor for us and everybody at the White House to be honoring you today. So congratulations as well to co-owners Jorge and Jose Mas, who came from Cuba, right? Originally from Cuba? Huh? Your parents came? And you're going to go back, oh, yeah. It's going to be, and you won't need my approval. You just fly back in when I can just see that. It's going to be a great day, right? We're going to celebrate that separately. I just want to wait a couple of weeks. I wanted to wait a couple of weeks, but we'll be together again soon, I suspect, celebrating what's going on in Cuba. They want to make a deal so badly, you have no idea. As well as head coach, who I hear is a phenomenal coach, Javier Mascherano. Where's the coach? I've heard he's a great coach. Well, anybody who wins is a good coach in my book, but I heard you're a hell of a coach. And all of the tremendous players that are just amazing. We're also grateful to be joined by the MLS Commissioner, Don Garber. Don, wherever you're, Don. Stand up, Don. Good job. Good job. As well as proud Miami sports fan, Secretary of State. I'm telling you, he's going to go down as the best Secretary of State in the country's history, Marco Rubio. I don't want him to get too popular. It's true. I don't want him to get too popular. You know, when they get too popular, all of a sudden you see, where's Marco? He's not around anymore. I don't see him. He's doing some job, and your next one is going to be, we want to do that special Cuba. He's waiting, but he says, let's get this one finished first. We could do them all at the same time, but bad things happen. If you watch countries over the years, you do them all too fast, bad things happen. We're not going to let anything bad happen to this country. Also with us are Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's a terrific person and fan. And she's proving how tough she is, and I think the next 3 years she's going to really prove it, right? Huh? Like these people. Secretary Scott Bessent, Lori Chavez DeRemer, and Sean Duffy. Thank you, everybody. What a great team. And U.S. Trade Representative, who's done incredible deals, unbelievable, Jamison Greer. Thank you, Jamison Greer. And our country has never been bigger, better, richer, or stronger, and the deals we're making are unbelievable. And a lot of it's because of the tariffs, and a lot of it's because of everything else. We had a little complicating factor with tariffs the other day with the Supreme Court. They did the wrong thing, but it didn't make any difference because we have another way of doing it. They always have to make it the hard way. Do you know about that? You always have to. Is it like that? It's always got to be the difficult way, right? A little bit. Huh? Makes you work harder, right? Absolutely. But we're doing great. Our country is doing incredibly well. It's never done like this. It's, I was with the King of Saudi Arabia. He said, a year and a half ago, we thought your country was dead, would never come back. And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world, which was sort of cool. I'll relate that story. But many leaders say the same thing. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world. 2025 was the record-shattering season for Inter Miami, beginning last summer at the historic FIFA Club World Cup, hosted for the first time right here in the USA. So exciting. I shouldn't say this because you'll say I'm old, but I watched Pelé play. He played for the Cosmos. Do you know that? And Steve Ross was a great friend. I don't know how many people remember Steve. He was a legendary businessman. He really started cable and cable TV. He was way ahead of time and ultimately passed away tragically. But he started the Cosmos team and he wanted to get some good players. So he started with Pelé. I don't know, you may be better than Pelé. Pelé was pretty good. Who's better, him or Pelé? Merci. I think he is. But he was pretty good, right? Pelé was pretty good. But it was very exciting, and I went to the games. I'd go every once in a while, but soccer just didn't catch on. And then when Steve got ill, it sort of went away, and then it came back, and now it's just turning out to be amazing how it's coming back in this country. But the Cosmos were a very hot team, playing with other teams that weren't so good. But I got to watch Pelé play, and he was something too. In the June group stage of that tournament, these players went toe-to-toe with some of the best teams anywhere in the world. You tied Egypt's best club, supposed to be an unbelievable, talented club, with a gutsy performance from veteran goalie Oscar Ostari, who played a great game. Then you tied the top Brazilian club, wow, thanks to a brilliant goal from one of the greatest strikers of all time, Luis Suarez. Was he? These are good-looking people. Marco, I don't like good-looking men. You don't feel so good about yourself standing up here. Good-looking people. In the 65th minute, Louis gathered the ball around midfield and turned for a vintage solo run, dribbling through the defense, driving past defenders like few people have ever seen before, cutting to his left, hammering home a goal that secured Miami's place in the next round. But no match in the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup was more important than the match against FC Porto. Porto took an early lead, but you came back strong in the 54th minute, tied 1-1. Leo lined up for one of his iconic free kicks. He struck the ball decisively, bending it over the wall and beating the keeper with a sensational left hook. Would I be able to do that if I practiced? He said, no, I think he's right, my friend. Great. In that moment, you sealed a truly historic Inter-Miami victory, becoming the first club from North America ever to beat a European club in official competition. Unbelievable. You know, I have to just interject. So, over the years, I love sports, and I've watched my friend A-Rod with George Steinbrenner. I'd sit in his box, just the two of us. He would never have anybody but me. He liked me, right? He liked me, and he liked you. He liked almost nobody. It would be a World Series when baseball was hot. It's not as hot now, I'll be honest with you. They do things wrong. But when baseball was hot as a pistol with George, and I'd sit and I'd watch the Yankees, and he'd have 30 seats, and it would just be me and him. And I said to A-Rod, would say, what was the most difficult thing you've ever done? I said, it's probably sitting for 3 hours with George Steinbrenner watching a Yankee playoff game or a World Series game. You know what I mean by that. He was a difficult guy, but he was great, right? He liked me, I liked him, and we both liked nobody else. And that was a good combination. But I have to say this. So I've seen a lot of great players come into the world of sports, and they came in from all different countries, all different players. They've come, in some cases, just from different states. They come to the Yankees, or they come to the Dodgers, or they come to whatever. But I've seen them come in from other countries, and there's such a clamor. Oh, so great, everything's great. But they don't win. This guy won. He came in, there was tremendous fanfare, and he won. You know, right? But it's true, they don't win. They come in and, you know, they're great players and they can even play okay, but they don't win. And Leo, you came in and you won, and that's something very hard to do, very unusual. And frankly, there's a lot more pressure put on you than anyone would know, because, you know, you're sort of expected to win, but almost nobody wins. They come in, they're great, they're the best in the world, they get paid a fortune. You came in and you won with all that pressure. That's an amazing tribute, so congratulations. Right? But in that moment, you sealed a truly historic Inter-Miami victory. And think of that, first club ever, North America, to top the so-called European clubs. Pretty amazing thing to do. Returning to the MLS, Inter-Miami built on that incredible momentum, playing a record number of games and scoring a total of 101 goals, the most in MLS history. Is that correct, Mr. Commissioner? Well, that's pretty good. How's Andrew? Is Andrew treating you okay? He's a good golfer, too, actually. People don't know it. He's a very good golfer, right, Andrew? But Trump's a good golfer, too, Andrew. Thank you. With 29 goals in the regular season alone, Leo won the prize Golden Boot, becoming the first player to be named the league MVP twice in a row. Amazing, you know, comes in, a lot of great players. Pretty amazing thing to do, very hard to do. Exploding into the playoffs, this team racked up a series of statement wins, big wins, frankly, wins that a lot of people didn't think they could do. You secured a 3-1 must-win victory over Nashville SC. You thrashed FC Cincinnati 4-0 on the road. And then you routed New York City FC 5-1, led by a hat trick from young star Tadeo Allende. Where is Tadeo? What a group of people. We could have a lot of fun with these guys. You can imagine when they win how they celebrate. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about it. In that MLS Cup final against the Vancouver Whitecaps, the entire team played together as one flawless unit. Just flawless, they say. After Vancouver tied the game 1-1, Leo picked the pocket of a Whitecap defender and sent a pass to the great Rodrigo De Paul. Where the hell is Rodrigo? Do you have any bad-looking players? You know? I like the bad-looking guys much better. Who stuck a low-driving shot into the side net, taking the lead. And then in the 6th extra minute of stoppage time, Tadeo drove home your third and final goal, making the score 3-1 and securing your status as the first champions in club history. What an amazing accomplishment. Coach Mascherano became one of the few head coaches to win the MLS Cup finals in his very first year. And Leo claimed the 47th trophy of his storied career. 47th, can you imagine that? The most of all time. That's the most of all time. So Leo is the reigning FIFA World Cup MVP. You could have gone anywhere in the world. You could have chosen any team in the world, and you chose to go to Miami. I don't blame you. The weather's extremely good. Do you go to Doral? You go to Doral and play golf? And I just want to thank you for bringing us all in this ride, because you are hot and talented and a great person. I look forward to seeing many of you on the summer. We're going to be out there in the summer in 2026 FIFA World Cup. And we have a lot of interesting things, because we have the World Cup and we have the Olympics, so we have the 250, you know. And I was responsible for getting the Olympics in my first term. And I was responsible for getting with Johnny. We got the World Cup, and Johnny's a good man. Do we like Johnny? I think so, right? Like you say, yeah, I think so. He's a good guy. But, you know, they're setting records on the World Cup, setting absolute total, I guess many of you guys are going to be in it, but setting records on ticket sales, right? Numbers that, I mean, literally double what anyone's ever done before, so it's good. So they picked the right. But I thought that I didn't know that I'd be the president during this, because the election was rigged and stolen, and I had to do it all again. And then I said, hey, wait a minute, I just got soccer/football, and I just got the Olympics, so we got most important. I took credit for those two. Then I tried to take credit for 250 years, and it didn't play well at all with the press. But we're going to have an amazing year. But I just want to thank you so much, Horace, for the job you've done. I've known you for a while, and I've known of you for a long period of time. You are a spectacular man, and please say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much, Mr. President. To all these distinguished guests, secretaries, so many friends and supporters. On behalf of myself, my wife Aleida, my brother Jose, and his wife Patty, and my whole family who is here today, with David Beckham, I want to express to you what an extreme honor and privilege it is to be in the People's House, led by you, celebrating in the presence of champions, winners all. Because this championship was very, very well-deserved, greatly played, and you're looking at one of the best teams on the face of the earth standing behind us. And this all became possible because we dared to dream. 7 years ago, Inter Miami was nothing but an idea and a dream. I remember after talking to Commissioner Garber and being awarded a team, we sat in the conference room of our family business in Miami and said to each other, what do we do now? And as the son of a man and woman who left Cuba, just seeking freedom in this great country, it has driven us to excellence. And we thought, what can we do to make a difference? What can we do that's special? And at that time, I told myself what many people thought impossible. I said, we are going to bring the world's greatest player to play at Inter Miami. And that was in 2019. And today, standing before you, you have the world's greatest player here to my right. Over the course of the last 2.5 years that he has been here, we've been on an epic run of records, of trophies, of winning. Because what I've wanted to establish with Inter Miami is a winning culture. That it be a reflection of our community of South Florida and Miami, made up of winners, of hardworking men and women, and I want our team to be an embodiment of our fan base and everyone who aspires to a better future and to a better life. On the back of our jersey, Mr. President, it says freedom to dream, because that's our family moniker and what embodies our team and our aspirations. But that all began many, many years before at the dinner table of our family with my late father, Jorge Mascanosa, and my mother, Irma, who is here today. And I speak now in tribute to our parents' generation. And I share that with Secretary Marco Rubio, of men and women who fled communism, who fled tyranny, who wanted a better life for their boys and their daughters and their sons in the future. And at that table was instilled in us that if you work hard and you sacrifice and you dream, it can be possible. And today, standing before you, Inter Miami is one of the world's biggest clubs. Most based on history, but our history has been short. But having a winning culture, having the best-selling jersey on the face of the earth, making a global difference, and not only because of Lionel Messi, but these men standing behind you have changed the culture of football in the United States of America forever. We can play with the big boys, we can be heavyweights, our league can be one of the top leagues in the world, and it is this ability to dream, to persevere, to have no obstacles ahead of us that we will continue to be successful. And hopefully, Mr. President, this is not our only visit here celebrating an MLS Cup championship. But this team is an embodiment of that. And I want to thank you to be able to express this to you, to so many dear friends, loved ones, and global fans all over the world. We fill stadiums everywhere. We're playing this weekend against DC United at the Ravens Stadium in Baltimore, because we'll have a sellout there. We sell out everywhere we go. We open the season in the LA Coliseum with a record crowd. But it is our aspiration to continue breaking barriers, to putting no limits, to making sure that Major League Soccer and Inter Miami over the course of the next few years is considered with the elite of global football. So with that said, Mr. President, thank you. Thanking you for sharing this championship with us, that we can share it with our families in the People's House and we can share it with the world. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we have some gifts we'd like to present to you.
Thank you.
number 32. But thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. And I want to just invite the team to the Oval Office, very, very special place. It's sort of the center of the world, especially now, but always it's the center of the world. We have a little present for you there. And anybody would like to come, you can just follow me on down there, okay? You'll see the Oval, and you'll have some fun. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
All right, so President Trump in the East Room of the White House with that 2025 Inter-Miami CF MLS Championship team happening right now on another live stream. So I'm checking it out on RSBN on X specifically here. There's another live stream just starting, happening now. You can check out that live stream of the Department of War. It's going to hold its third press conference on Operation Epic Fury. So that hasn't started yet, but it is about to start. We'll see the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and others. So you can stay with RSBN. Go ahead and check out that other live stream happening right now. This as we monitor and broadcast news from around the country and around the world. I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you again soon.